California moving to phase out gasoline cars and pushing the transition toward electric ones. We look at how the shift is helping China.
We now have all committed to green, lithium ion, all these batteries that require China's participation in their manufacturing.
Is the global supply chain at stake again? A number of Chinese cities now under lockdown, impacting millions and shutting down the world's factory. Washington boosting its partnership in the South China Sea. That's through a joint drill with the Philippines. And the International Tennis Federation says famed Chinese athlete Peng Shuai is safe. But is she? Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. We've heard about California's push for more electric vehicles throughout the state. But more electric vehicles means more EV batteries and a boost in production volume. That's where America's reliance on China kicks in. Let's take a closer look.
As California takes another leap towards banning sales of new gas-fueled vehicles by 2035, electric or hydrogen cars may soon be the only option for drivers looking to buy a new vehicle. The push for all-electric cars means many more lithium-ion batteries needed for powering these machines. Two automotive industry experts weighed in on one of the most notorious environmental challenges of EV manufacturing: recycling lithium-ion batteries.
It turns out that lithium-ion batteries are about 98% recyclable even today, and of course technology will improve that as we move forward. It's certainly true to say that the actual industry is in its infancy, and we do not as yet have the recycling infrastructure in place to do that. But we will. Again, it's another supply and demand thing.
Wheatley, CEO of an off-grid EV charging infrastructure solutions company, says if the demand for EVs increases, so will the demand and need for improved recycling processes.
Right now, there is no true process to take any of these large EV batteries, disassemble them, recycle them, and use that material for something else. There is nothing in place. There's people that have tried. There's a couple companies that are working on it, but they still have not come up with a solution that works.
Fix, an automotive analyst, says current disposal processes are not environmentally friendly. According to Tesla, none of its, quote, scrapped lithium-ion batteries go to landfills. The company added that 100% of the batteries are recycled and reused. But Tesla's report does not reveal where those scrapped parts that go to third-party recyclers eventually end up. If the demand for EVs increases, manufacturers will need lithium-ion battery production volume to match, a process that requires rare earth metals.
We don't mine cobalt, cadmium, nickel, mercury, neodymium, and there's 7 rare earth minerals because of the damage to the environment. So we are reliant on China.
Despite the cars being clean, battery production isn't necessarily. Mineral mining might not impact U.S. soil, but according to an article by Yale University's School of the Environment, China has poisoned part of its land with chemicals from rare earth mining. On top of that, U.S. lawmakers have accused the Chinese Communist Party of using forced labor in its mining processes. But the Biden administration has made a push for more, quote, made in America EVs as part of his recently signed Inflation Reduction Act. For now, California's ban on sales of gas-fueled cars still awaits final federal approval. If finalized, drivers can still buy and sell old or used gas-powered cars even after 2035.
California's push for replacing gas-fueled vehicles with electric ones by 2035 may come with a catch.
We now have all committed to green, lithium ion, all these batteries that require China's participation in their manufacturing.
Ann Bridges is the author of Groundbreaking, America's New Quest for Mineral Independence. Most electric cars use lithium-ion batteries, and right now, China dominates that market, as much as 80%. 6 out of the 10 biggest EV battery makers are based in China. And one particular producer, called CATL, wields immense influence in the industry. It makes 3 out of every 10 EV batteries. Even though you may never have heard of it, CATL supplies to some of the industry's biggest names: Tesla, BMW, and Kia. And now that reliance on China for EV batteries is raising concerns.
The whole world is now reliant on single source, certainly single locale regions in the world to supply certain things. And even today, I don't know if you saw this, the lithium plants in China have been closed down for a period of time because of the extreme drought. There's no more hydropower, or not enough to run these factories. So it's something outside of all of our control to be able to really manage. So if we don't have multiple sources of energy, if we don't have multiple sources of manufacturing, then we are beholden to whatever the vagaries of fate are, whether it's war or famine or drought or whatever.
The U.S. is trying to catch up. President Biden plans to invest in domestic lithium mining, a key material used in EV batteries. But ramping up mining is just the beginning. Lithium processing is a complicated and capital-intensive process. Research estimates it could take the U.S. years and an over $170 billion investment to catch up. Zooming out, China controls over 2/3 of the global lithium processing. If the U.S. can't catch up on lithium processing, it might still need to ship the material to Asia to refine it before using it to produce EV batteries. Are global supply chains primed to take another hit? Maybe. And China's strict COVID-19 controls may be to blame. On Monday, 7 Chinese major cities entered lockdown or semi-lockdown. Each of them has a population over 10 million. One of them is southern China's tech hub Shenzhen. The global electronics sourcing center has been dubbed the world's factory. One of the manufacturing plants there is an Apple supplier. The world's largest wholesale electronics market is also located in the city. Now, factories can still operate there, but with reduced capacity. And the major electronic market is closed. The mandate will keep the city closed until Thursday. It falls under China's zero COVID-19 strategy. The policy aims to eradicate the infection from inside China through lockdowns and mass testing for residents. Taking a closer look at the area of Shenzhen under lockdown, barricades are being set up around some residential compounds, and locals now need proof of a negative test result within 24 hours to enter. Even the start of the school year is getting delayed. Similar measures cover 3 other districts, affecting over 6 million people across the city. Elsewhere, Dalian City locked down 3 million of its residents the same day. Households in the major port city are only allowed to send 1 person out per day to shop for necessities. In the southwestern city of Chengdu, some districts suspended venues and tour groups. Plans to delay the start of the fall school semester will affect around 3.5 million residents. Over in North China, Shijiazhuang city authorities have set up barriers to section off certain areas. Pictures and videos reveal empty store shelves there after a wave of panic buying. The U.S. is boosting its military cooperation in the South China Sea. A United States Coast Guard boat is docked in the Philippines for a 4-day visit. Coast Guard members from both countries plan to hold joint maritime drills. The drills are aimed to improve disaster response skills and maritime law enforcement, including search and rescue. They hope for a more connected, open, and secure Indo-Pacific. Around 150 Philippine Coast Guard members and 250 of their U.S. counterparts will participate in the joint exercises. The same drills were conducted in 2019 and 2020. The president of the International Tennis Federation says Chinese athlete Peng Shuai appears to be safe. The famed sports star made headlines last year after she accused a senior Communist Party official of sexual assault and disappeared shortly after. The ITF president explained he didn't see her personally, but had a video conference with her weeks ago. Let's zoom in.
The president of the International Tennis Federation, David Haggerty, commented Thursday on the whereabouts of Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai. He said he spoke with her 6 weeks ago through a video call.
Well, we had a video conference and we were able to talk about some experiences we had when we had met before, when we had seen each other before in person at some tennis events. We talked about that. And again, I think I felt comfortable. I will feel more comfortable when I see her in person, when she's traveling and when tennis opens up in China.
Peng Shuai is the former world's #1 in women's tennis doubles. She went missing last year after sharing a controversial post on Chinese social media platform Weibo. In it, she accused the former Chinese vice premier of sexual assault. Her post was promptly removed, and she disappeared from the public eye for weeks. Her subsequent reappearances were accompanied by Chinese officials. Peng's well-being has since become a global concern, while the Chinese regime says the athlete is fine.
A growing number of Chinese people are joining a grassroots movement to quit the Chinese Communist Party. More than 400 million have formally distanced themselves from the party. A rally in central London over the weekend marked the milestone. NTD's Jane Wirrell was on the scene.
The sound of the cymbals pierces St. Martin's Place. But what they're celebrating is a grassroots movement that's been growing quietly. It's called Tuidang, which translates from Chinese as withdraw from the party. It involves people formally removing themselves from the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliations online.
The people behind me are marking 400 million people quitting the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the Quitting the Chinese Communist Party movement is a significant grassroots movement which has been going on for almost 2 decades, both inside and outside of China.
It is very significant for the Chinese people to quit the CCP and its affiliated organisations. Only by quitting the CCP will China have hope.
I come here to support 400 million Chinese quitting the CCP, and I'm also joined the Dragon team. It's based on traditional Chinese culture.
The Tuidang movement first started in 2004 after the release of the book 9 Commentaries on the Communist Party by the Epoch Times. It documents the brutality of the CCP. Many of those who give out the copies of the book are practitioners of Falun Gong, a meditation discipline based on the moral teachings of truth, compassion and tolerance. For more than 20 years, the Chinese Communist Party has launched a campaign to vilify, arrest and torture Falun Gong practitioners. Some Chinese people use pseudonyms to quit the CCP out of concern for their safety. The party's history of killing and deceit has deeply impacted Chinese society.
They teach us to hate Falun Gong, hate Uyghurs, hate Tibetans, and against the landlord, before, against the students protesting in Tiananmen Square.
He says some Western companies doing business deals with China to get goods cheaply could be complicit in funding the persecution of Chinese people. There was support from people walking past, including Natalie from Ukraine.
I'm also from the communist background, so I know not that much, but a little bit. But still, I think everybody deserves to live in a free country and to be free, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, of religion, of everything. And it's a gift that we have from our birth, from God Himself. So I'm very happy and I support those who stand, and may they have courage and strength.
This rally is a show of defiance against communist control and a symbol of freedom for the Chinese people. Jane Wirrell, NTD News, London.
Nearly half of Australians believe the Chinese Communist Party will launch a military attack on their country. This, according to recent research by the Australian Institute's International and Security Affairs Department. Here's more.
The result was part of a survey involving over 1,000 adults living in Australia. The other part of the survey asked the same number of people living in Taiwan. Compared to Taiwanese people, Australians appear to be more afraid of an attack from the communist country, although Taiwan is only about 100 miles from China, while Australia is located thousands of miles away. More specifically, nearly 1 in 10 Australians responded that they believe China would attack Australia soon, while just 1 in 20 Taiwanese think Beijing would attack Taiwan soon. In the case of a Chinese attack, 57% of Australians say the United States would help defend Australia. While 11% said they didn't think so, the rest were undecided. The research comes as relations between China and Australia are at a low point. It started when the former Australian government called for an inquiry into the origins of COVID-19. This led to the Chinese Communist Party leveraging its economy against Australia, like imposing high tariffs or bans on Australian goods exported to China. Another recent escalation hit after Chinese military forces bullied an Australian military aircraft. That's as it was conducting routine surveillance in the South China Sea
region.
That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here after being demonetized for more than a year. Here's what to look out for in our second half. Experts say the Chinese Communist Party has been quietly waging war and working to infiltrate America from the inside. Beijing knows it doesn't have better guns, missiles, or jets, so it's turning to other tools, and some of them are far more powerful than gunfire.
Well, we make no secret of our greed, so it's just a question of, playing to those human frailties.
Frank Gaffney shares his insights with the Epoch Times program American Thought Leaders. The full episode is available on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up, click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
The 2022 NTD 8th International Chinese Vocal Competition will be held from September 29th to October 2nd at the Merkin Hall of Kaufman Music Center in New York City. The competition is honored to have specially invited vocalists with the world-renowned Shen Yun Performing Arts to serve on its panel of judges. The gold award is $10,000. For more information, please visit vocal.ntdtv.com.